I'm a fashion designer. My business is dressing women and people. But I like to think about it philosophically. I'm actually in the business of empowering people and making them feel good about themselves. That's dangerous, babes.
You know that he'll take care of you, that you'll leave looking your best, and that every angle, you know, like I work in front of cameras and with a lot of people, where people watch what you wear and look at every single inch of what you're wearing.
See you. Say hi to everyone.
I will.
At age 11, I knew I wanted to become a designer. You see, I was a very rambunctious child, full of energy, and I loved to sing. And an epiphany happened to me actually quite early in my life. I was part of the local theater production of The King and I was one of the king's children. And I was 6 at that time. And although I was on stage, I always sort of like was mesmerized by the power of costume and the power of clothing. And in my imagination, I was saying, oh my goodness, you know, with clothes, you literally can be just a normal person and then become a king, just like that. As a child, I was very close to my grandmother. Their homes had a stay-in seamstress. During the time wherein she would be in charge of making tea towels, maids' uniforms, and day dresses. And I remember it vividly, how she was instructing the seamstress how to do it. But because I drew well at that time, I said, Lola, no, you should do it this way. This is how you should do it. And that was my first business transaction. And for payment, she gave me 10 pesos. Good morning! Iron it, I need all the threads out, huh? I'm not happy with it. I still see a lot of thread. I had 20,000 pesos to my name. We drew it all, bought one sewing machine, hired the same seamstress that my grandmother had in her house, bless her soul. Started in my friend's basement. That's where it all started. I started learning to make clothes in New York City. I always said, I'm gonna make it in New York. So once I had enough money to sort of like gamble in the large Olympics of fashion called New York City, I tried for a year and a half. I failed, but in failure comes invaluable lessons. It almost felt like a fortress. And I felt like a little ant trying to enter that fortress, that I decided to restructure the goals. Instead of going to the West, I said, listen, I think, why am I going to the West when everybody's going to the East? Why am I here when everybody's looking towards Asia? So there I was. I mean, I literally sort of like, again, an aha moment. I mean, go back, go home, and service your country and service the ASEAN region. It started exponentially. Of course, I started with one seamstress and myself, and then it became 6 seamstresses in the span of 6 months. And then eventually I had 25. And then by then, I couldn't handle things anymore on my own. You see, I was everything. And then I actually asked for help. The first person I thought of was Denise, my younger sister.
I don't enjoy the whole fitting process of made to order, so I was convincing him at that time, you know, we have to make a couple of basic pieces that we could show our clients. And since that wasn't his training, it took me a while to convince him. So we started by making a couple of pieces. I would just put it in his office, and a lot of people were excited about it, so that's how it started.
I'm a creative spirit. I think that's the first thing that comes to mind when I'm asked to define who I am. Couture is my first love. It's what makes me stay up late at night and what drives me to work every morning. I guess, by creating all of these dresses, it gives me purpose. In the business model of my companies, it has the smallest revenue. However, because it is the most difficult part of the entire process, it drives the brand, it defines the brand. Okay na, no? Kasi
I
wetting
think it's
naman.
gonna be windy.
Let me see. Let me practice wind. To illustrate to you, my business model is like a pyramid, like a triangle. On the top is basically what you saw today, that interaction with my clients and how I make them feel. Underneath that is a ready-to-wear. And then finally we have the corporate apparel. What they wanted to do was create this sort of like really amazing experience for the City of Dreams. I mean, it's probably one of the most dangerous uniforms that I've ever created. It's uniforms, yes. It's a corporate apparel, yes. But there's a designer touch to it. So essentially, I always see clothes as armor. And if you're going to sort of like think of your employees as your soldiers, you want to sort of like put the best armor on them in order to, I guess, perform better and create that vision of strength and confidence. In the beginning, I was fearless in the sense that I wasn't cautious. I was selfish. I was just thinking of myself. Now that I'm older, I'm more careful, more aware. My goals have changed. This was the first product that we made, which remains to be our top seller. I mean, it's simple, but it's so saleable. It's a wallet. They were literally just doing rags that they would sell for 1 or 2 pesos. And the only people that were actually profiting were the middlemen. So we came in, our organization came in and just sort of like changing the narrative and telling them that, and immediately my thought was, let's not think of it as rags. Let's think of it as a material that to create fashionable objects.
Ang gusto kong impose sa kanila, sa bawat gagawin nilang bagay o desisyon sa buhay nila, bigay nila yung buong puso nila.
We started 7 years ago with 25 women, and 7 years later, we're in probably the most high-end mall in the Philippines, the Rockwell Mall. In order to be successful, I mean, in my mind, I need the personal touch. I always feel that it is that interaction that I look for. It's that capturing that smile, that knowing smile of the client that I've satisfied you. It's that intangible feeling that you get when you've done your job. You take a step back and say, I've done my job. I think she looks beautiful, and I know that she feels beautiful, and I know that in that beauty, I've succeeded.